So at the moment, you can see here that we're not winning any card awards, but we are winning threshold in Cap 240 Limited. So we are going to be winning $5 from the weekend. And that was our main objective, really, to win threshold in Cap 240. We also did want to try and get a card in second division, but we didn't quite do it. And I will show you in a minute why. In fact, I'll show you now. Yeah, so this was our team in the second division. We done well. We captained Anthony Uja, and Anthony Uja didn't score. They actually lost 1-0, and I expected more goals in that game. So we didn't get the captaincy right. But if we had got the captaincy right, we would have still missed out, I think, on getting a card award. Because we needed better scoring from Philip Heiser, and we probably needed better scoring from Thalhammer. This was quite a competitive game week in the second division, because there were not many games that were actually happening. It was only the 2 Bundesliga. So there was only 127 places that it was paying out to. We were 63.69 points away from a tier 5. To get a tier 4, we were 70 points away. So you needed like 370 points to get a tier 4. You needed basically close to 400 to get a tier 3. It was really competitive. We had a really good effort though here. Kastenmeier, who I told you guys about, done great. Not only him, but also Matthias Zimmermann. So this defensive stack actually worked out really well for us, because we actually thought that this could be a little bit tricky. I actually thought that they might not be able to keep a clean sheet against Hertha Berlin, but they did. And Kastenmeier performed really well. Zimmermann got the assist for the goal, so this worked out perfectly. Philip Heiser, we were a little bit worried about, because we know that he doesn't tend to do that great away from home, but we've still played him because we had huge amounts of XP on him, or the bonus, shall I say, and it was against Osnabrück, and so we just expected that Karlsruhe would be the stronger team. They would be able to score quite a few goals against Osnabrück, which they did, and the theory here was that Philip Heiser, who's an attacking fullback, he would just get a lot of opportunities to attack, to get forward, to maybe get involved in one of those goals, but it just didn't happen. His AA was not amazing. It was only 8.74, and attacking-wise, he done okay. He made a lot of penalty area entries, and he attempted an assist once, but yeah, we just didn't quite get the level of defensive work from him or possession work from him, so a little bit underwhelming from him, but we kind of also knew that. Decent performance from Thalhammer, though, in that game. So this was the same game, but a player playing on the opposing team. And Thalhammer's very much like one of those players that's really good for threshold. So I kind of usually expect to get around this from Thalhammer. So this is fine. This worked out well. We just needed our captain to smash it, to get a goal. And we needed Philip Heiser to deliver a score of 60 points or more. I think if that had happened, we would have ended up winning a card award in second division Europe. So good effort from these boys, actually. Especially when we didn't have like our full strength squad. This is not like the main squad, the main team that we want to play in second division Europe. I think this was a really good effort from them. So yeah, not disappointed actually. Pretty happy with this, really. Quite proud. But yeah, it would have been nice to win a card, but we knew it's going to be tough. Cap 240, this is our threshold, and we are happy with this. Now look at this, guys, right? We hit the threshold here. We've actually gone down in points because we had 275 points, and Farai has had 5 points taken off him. This team wins threshold. How crazy is that? Like, this team does not look like it should hit threshold, because we had a really bad score from Marco, a really bad score from Marquez, not good at all. He actually came off injured. Tony Leisner also done okay, but not a great score. So basically 3 of our 5 players just made up the numbers rather than actually contributing anything significant to get us over the line for threshold. It was down to this guy here, Mijo Cactus, really. Ferai done good with 70 for sure, but Mijo Cactus with a score of 98.1 and a 18-minute hat trick from coming off the bench. The guy's a legend. You guys completely know, because if you've been following my Luton to Legend, and even before the Luton to Legend, I was saying that this guy here, Mijo Cactus, is in for like an amazing season, and he has been having a good start so far. This guy's so bloody good. He's so cheap as well. I picked him up for 88p. So an 88p card delivering us a hat trick and 98.1. If Cactus had not done this, actually, because he was started on the bench, if Cactus had not done this, right, we would have not hit threshold here. So we pretty much owe Cactus here. Cactus is the one who single-handedly took us over the line for threshold. Incredible. So we're going to get $5. There are a couple of interesting players, though. This guy in particular, Christian Flores, used to play for Universitario. He's quite young still at 22, and he's got a really low L15. He's starting to score better recently, look. So his level of performances have increased. His scoring's been increasing since he's been starting more. Because prior to the last, 5 games or so, he hadn't really been starting for Deportivo Municipal. Now he is starting. What you're actually seeing is that he's getting a good level of AA. So he's actually somebody that is probably being overlooked, to be honest. Would be good for... Look at this scoring from this guy, by the way. So we're just looking at Matias Perez Garcia, 38-year-old midfielder. And there's no limited cards for him whatsoever. He's got L5, L15 and L40 of all scores in the 60s. He's worth about £50 right now as a floor price on the market. And this guy has an AA of 24.4, which is just insane, really. He's been delivering so many scores of 60 points or more for Deportivo. Look at this here. Incredible. Like, for 38 years old, this is incredible. And it's not something that he's just been doing. He's been doing it kind of for a while. Not somebody that I would be looking to pick up, right? But you have to say, if you were competing in Rare and you were looking for somebody who could give you... Look, the last game was 94 for him in a 4-1 loss. 94 in a 4-1 loss. That is incredible. Absolutely incredible. So somebody to maybe keep an eye on or think about if you are competing in Rare, if you could get him for a lot lower. Because for this type of player, it almost doesn't even matter who they're going up against because he just does very well against everyone. Look, very rare for him to not get a really high score. Really interesting. So if you're looking for a really cheap goalkeeper, then Carlos Lampa is the one to target. Carlos Lampa is not fully covered in the game, right? He plays in the Bolivian league, and so he has like a blue cross next to him in the game, which means that you can't get full scoring out of him, or full scoring throughout the whole season because he's playing in a league that's not covered. But if you are looking for a cheap starting goalkeeper, and actually to be fair, look, it says here it's not covered on Sorare data, which is really cool, but he is covered for this game, this midweek, and I had him for quite a few games a few months back for the midweek. I picked him up for about £7-8, and he delivered for me. He really did. He delivered some really good scores like this here. So he's got a difficult game against Paranense, but he is at home, and so because it's in Bolivia, there is that altitude. There's that kind of like that altitude difference. It's always quite difficult for teams to go to Bolivia and play. So you'd expect Bolivar here to keep a clean sheet. I would anyway, against Paranense, and in doing so, he should get a clean sheet. I'd actually like to see what his percentage is to keep a clean sheet here, because he placed quite high, didn't he? Look here, look, Bolivar. This is in the matchups tab here. Bolivar are placed quite high. They have a 51% chance to win. They have a 39% chance for a clean sheet. On average, goalkeepers have scored 55 against this opponent, Paranense. And actually, look at the rest of the players in the team. Defenders, midfielders, forwards have all scored pretty good. You'd expect them, I think, to keep a clean sheet here and do well. So, yeah, for Bolivar, Carlos Lampa, Dallas should be able to smash Mazatlan. And Dallas have really good players, right? So Velasco, Ferreira, the usual suspects here. Liga is someone that we've spoken about quite a bit over the past few weeks, and I feel like he's too cheap, Liga. Look, he's far too cheap. I was talking about him before he delivered these scores of 60, 70 points, right? And I was actually even looking at bringing him into my teams for cap 220. I'm kind of tempted to do it still, but because I think £1.60 for him is far too low for a player that's now delivering 70, 60, 80. He's really getting involved in it, and he has a good fixture here. Yeah, he's crazy, isn't he? To get him at 60p, that's the way to do it. Definitely. £1.60 is still very good though, but if you got him for 60p, like FBL Thinker, then that is 100% the way to do it. Because this is a really good player here. He's not quite shown it at Dallas, but he's starting to show it now. And he should be able to show it against Mazatlan. So they have Vela, Buanga, Illy, Sanchez, McCarthy, Hollingshead, Cifuentes, and keep in mind that they're well rested as well. Yares have been playing the group stages. LAFC have had a nice bit of rest now, so they're going to be really fresh. They're going to be really fit. It's a little bit of a disadvantage really for Yares, I think. LAFC will smash them. In fact, actually, where are LAFC? They're not here because here they are. Look, they're only down here because there's no data that's being populated to position them in this chart. But trust me when I say that LAFC are going to be the big favourites here, by far. And what we'll do as well is that we'll have a little look at the odds here. Can we have a look at the odds? Where's the odds? Okay, we can't see the odds there. They should have really short odds to win this game. Let's find LAFC here. Los Angeles, actually. Look at that. Exactly what I said. They should have really short odds to win this game. They are hands down one of the clear favourites here. The odds for them to win are 1.53. Yares are 4.33. There's no doubt here who's going to win this game. Unless there's a massive upset, LAFC should have. We've done we've gone through the games which are happening in the midweek. And hopefully you guys were taking notes or kind of like keep an eye on some of the players that we talked about and some of the matches that we said were good to focus on. I've also now done a little bit of activity for the game week. So I think that my game weeks are pretty sorted now. So for the MLS Amateur at the moment, we're going for this right now. However, we will probably go with Hani Mukhtar if it looks like Hani Mukhtar's game is going to fall in game week 394. If it's not going to fall in game week 394 and Hani Mukhtar is going to be playing in game week 395, then we will just keep it as is and we'll have Robert Taylor in here to basically stack with Messi. We wanted to play Claudio Bravo, but we can't anymore because his game is now going to be falling into game week 395. But luckily, we had Thiago Martins on the bench, so he can come in and help us here for game week 394, which is cool. That's what we're looking at the moment. And then cap 220, we've just gone out and we brought in Paul Hanlon because we were playing Marvin Martins here. But actually, I don't mind Marvin Martins. I think Marvin Martins will do great here. But we have an opportunity where we can go with two players from Hibs who have a really easy home game against one of the weakest teams in the competition. The odds are heavily stacked against Inter. They're heavily stacked for Hibs to get the result here. And they need the result, Hibs, because they had such a shocking first leg that I just feel like it made sense here to kind of like try and bring in Hanlon. Now, I may switch it, right? I could end up putting in Marvin Martins again. But I think at the moment, if we can run two stacks, then we probably will. And this team itself comes in at 4 points under the budget of 220 because of the fact that Martin Boyle has no L15 cost whatsoever. So we have Messi. We hope that Messi can smash it. But then we also hope that Osijek and Hibs can smash it too. And if they do, then this team actually has a really good chance of potentially, who knows, potentially winning Cap 220, or at least getting a really good reward other than a tier 5 or a tier 4. The top reward that you can win for first place is just a tier 2. So it's actually kind of like a lower end, well, not a lower end, it's a lower tier than what you would usually win for coming first place in Cap 220. But it is also a competition where you're trying to do it with just 4 players that you've actually bought, because you can do it with the common card. So it also is absolutely fine. So yeah, went into this last match day. We had the choice between picking Argentinian League or the Brazilian League. We chose the Brazilian League because we did not have enough energy to fully predict the Argentinian League, whereas we had enough energy to do the Brazilian League. And I needed to go hard in it because I was like, I can't have a game week where we end up coming away with nothing. And so we managed to pull it out the bag, guys, in the last match day of the game week, match day 17 on the Brazilian League. We ended up finishing 54th out of 864, which I'm really happy with. And we done well. I'm going to show you right now. So if we click on it here, right, we completed it. We ended up getting only one score, one game where we got no points whatsoever, which was the International versus Coiba game. Every other game we got points from. And we finished on a high because our last 3 games we got 148, 144, and then we ended up finishing the match day with a 100% correct score outcome. We got 1-1, and it was 1-1. So we nailed it right at the end, which really helped us to finish 54th. Delighted with this, really. Let's just quickly run through some of the games, right? Because there are some talking points here. So, for example, this game here, we went 2-1 because we were looking at this and we were expecting Fluminense to at least score 2. In the end, they only scored 1, but we get points because we correctly predicted that the home team would win. Great. This one here, we expected this to be a draw between the 2 teams. Now, funny enough, the final score was 2-1. So if we'd have done a 2-2 here rather than a 1-1, we actually would have got some points from it. It's something for us to keep in mind because we went under 2.5 here and we really felt it was going to be under 2.5, but maybe what we should have been thinking about here is there realistically a possibility as well it could go over 2.5? And if we'd have just done a 2-2 like here, we would have got some points from that as well. This one here is really interesting. We went for the draw and we were expecting it to be a draw, but we were expecting it to be a low score draw. It actually ended up being 3-3. So if anybody correctly predicted this game to be 3-3, you would have earned so many points here from this. It would have been at least 500 points here. We never thought it would be 3-3 because who actually thinks a game's going to finish 3-3, right? Very rare that happens. However, because we correctly predicted the draw, we get 142 points, which is amazing. This one here, we were really unlucky. We nearly got a 100% correct score prediction here. We got, the prediction was 2-1 and the final score was 3-1. So we were 1 point short, or 1 goal short, should I say, of getting the full whack of points here. Great effort. It could have easily been 2-1. It could have been 3-1. It just on the day, we were just short by 1 goal. But we correctly predicted the home would win and it'd be over 2.5 goals. Our research was great. Our research kind of pretty much nailed that one. We have to talk about this one here. We have to talk about Fortaleza. And yeah, 54th is a pretty good effort, right, Pooky Lang? Where did you finish in the end, Pooky Lang? I think you finished higher, right? And can you affect what league is the ball? Yeah, you can. You will be able to when the stickers is launched. At the moment, you can't, but there's a new update coming this month where you can change the league that you get on your ball. Packers 15, I nailed the last game as well. It was a 94th minute equaliser. Yeah, it was. I was kind of following that game. And when it went in, I think it was actually like the 93rd minute, actually. So yeah, technically 94th minute. I was well happy because I was like, oh my God. We needed to get a good end to it, and we did. I was so happy. So 31st in the Brazilian for Pooky Lang. Are you happy with that, Pooky Lang? Or is that like, are you a bit disappointed with that? Because I guess it, like where you finish as well also depends on your Pooky ball. So for me, we used a rare ball here, and we ended up finishing 54th. I'm pretty happy with that. I think we could have got a bit higher if we'd have just got another correct score, like 100% correct score. But I'm pretty happy with that. Pooky's very disappointed. It's a bad week for him. Yeah, because Pooky Lang, he tends to use like a higher level ball because he's got an insane collection. And with the higher level balls, you get bigger bonuses. So if you have a higher level ball, you'd probably be expecting then like to be getting like top 20, something like that on a regular basis. And if you don't, it's probably then considered a bit of an underwhelming week, right? Yeah, no top 10s out of all the 4 match days. I also think as well that Pooky's getting more competitive because if you look at the number of like people that are joining, like here was 864 in the Brazilian League. That's quite a lot. I mean, when I was playing Pooky 2 months ago when I started, you'd be lucky to get kind of like 300, 400. So now it's kind of getting closer to 1,000, which is cool because we want it to be more competitive. We need it to be growing because as this game grows, there's more possibility for everyone to benefit from it. So yeah, it's cool. It's still easy to finish in the top 50%, I think, but I think getting those higher level like finishes as well. We're gonna need to change our strategy a little bit. Let me finish talking about this because the one thing I learned from this is that we were too safe. We didn't have enough like wildcard scores, and I'm going to explain that in a minute. This game here, we went for 2-2, and it ended up finishing 3-0 to Bragantino. So this was a real surprise because Fortaleza to lose 3-0 at home is very unusual, especially to this team here, Bragantino. We went for 2-2 because we actually thought this would be a draw, but this is what I love about Pooky. When we were looking at this, we were debating whether we'd done 1-1 or 2-2. And the only reason we didn't do 1-1 is because it was not worth it. And it was not worth it because we actually felt like this game had the potential to go over 2.5. And if we went 1-1, then it meant that if it didn't end up being a draw, and it also was a game that went like over 2.5, then we would win nothing. So that's why we went 2-2, because we wanted to give ourselves the opportunity to at least get this points from an over 2.5 goal outcome. And 3-0 is, of course, over 2.5 goals. So this is why, I know I always say it, this is why sometimes it's really worth doing a 2-2 over a 1-1. Because we were thinking 1-1, and we thought realistically, we should put 1-1 in here. If we're being, we're being reasonable about it. We didn't think it would be 2-2, but we wanted to at least try and just get points from the over 2.5. And that's why it's so useful to kind of do that tactic. Because if we'd have done 1-1 here, we would not have won any points whatsoever. We'd got nothing. We also done 2-2 here for the same reason. We actually thought that in this game between Atletico Mineiro and Flamengo, we actually thought this game would be a draw, and we thought it could realistically be 1-1. But we also felt that there was a high chance and a good chance that it could be over 2.5 goals. So if we'd have done 1-1 and it had then been a draw, but it had been a draw where there had been more than over 2.5 goals, and we'd done 1-1, then we'd get some points, but we wouldn't get a lot. If this had been a game where like we'd put 1-1 and it had been 2-1, we wouldn't have got anything. We would have got no points whatsoever. So again, it's another good example of how you don't need to chase the exact correct score here. You just need to be smart with your prediction and think, can I maximize the amount of opportunities that I can get points from a game? I don't always need to get the full points like this here, like a 235. I just need to make sure that I'm always getting points in every single game. And we felt that we needed to cover the possibility that there could be over 2.5 goals here, which is why, even though we felt it was going to be a 1-1 draw, we put 2-2. So that then if this happened here, where it was 2-1, we would still then get the points for over 2.5. And so if you think about it, these two games here where we used that tactic, we got basically 150 points here from that tactic alone. 150 points. Now, if you think of where we finished 54th with 1,105.9 points. If we had not done that tactic, we would have probably ended up finishing maybe outside the top 100. And then our amount of rewards that we would have got would have been significantly lower. So again, if you're not doing that tactic where you're looking at it like a match and you're thinking, okay, I think this could be a draw, but I also think there could be over 2.5 goals in it. If it's not a draw, then just do the 2-2. Just do the 2-2 rather than the 1-1. You should only really be doing a 1-1 when you are like very, very certain that that game has no realistic possibility of there being loads and loads of goals scored, like a goal fest, right? And that's why we done 1-1 here, because when we looked at it, these two teams would really struggle to score even one goal, whereas these teams here had the potential where both of them could have actually scored 2. But most likely only one of them would have scored 2, but then both teams had the chance to score, which is why a 2-1. Let me try and explain what we're going to do, because like it's really important, like that how you spend your energy in Pooky is a really big strategic action that you need to think about carefully. Because when you spend your energy, that it's done. Like we can't reverse that. So if you spend your energy and then you have a change of heart, and you're like, oh, actually, I didn't want to spend. Come to think about it, I don't want to spend like that energy actually in the Brazilian league. I wish that I had spent it, say, in the English league. You can't reverse it. It's done. So you need to be, it's very valuable this. You need to be making sure that you work out exactly where you want to spend it. So this is what we're going to do. Tonight, our energy refreshes. We get 150 topped back up. 151, but again, let's just say 150. It costs 10 energy to make a prediction in Pooky. So if we have 150 energy, we can make 15 predictions. And your energy always refills every Monday. So we get 150 tonight. We're going to spend 100 in the Brazilian league. Okay? Now, this Brazilian league, it finishes this Sunday. We would then have 50 energy left over. We could spend that 50 energy in the Japanese league, where there are 9 games which are happening, but it means that we would not be able to fully predict this league, because this is going to cost 90 to do, and we'd only have 50 energy. So we'd have to skip a couple of games, which means that we could still finish top 50% on the leaderboard, but if we don't, we've wasted then our 50 energy, right? So instead, what we're going to do is we're simply going to start to predict or start to spend our energy for game week 32. So we're going to get a head start on spending our energy in the Premier League. Because then what will happen is that if we spend 100 in here and we have 50 left over, we spend the remaining 50 in the Premier League, which doesn't start until 11 days' time. It then means that next Monday, we then get more energy. But because at that point we've already spent 60 to predict out of 100, next week when we get our energy, we then only need to spend 40 from our 150, right? To then fully predict the English League, the Premier League. And then that would then give us 110 energy left over, which means that we could then fully predict either the La Liga or League One or the Japanese league. And it would probably be the La Liga, because we have a Real Madrid ball. Let me just show you. We have a Real Madrid ball, which is not this one. Oh, we do have a Real Madrid ball, but it's only my rookie one. I forgot about that. So our rookie ball, this one here is a Real Madrid ball. So scrap that. But we would do the La Liga anyway, because I trust the La Liga more than I trust the League One, especially with the Mbappe situation. So the League One's always been attractive to me to predict in if it meant that, like, if all the PSG boys were playing, because then it's a nice, easy over 2.5. But there's a new manager there, Luis Enrique. There's a little bit of uncertainty on some players, right? Neymar for one, Mbappe for the second. I would prefer to kind of just wait to see that. So guys, thank you so much for the incredible support here today. I will put the highlights together for today's stream up to YouTube and Twitch tonight. And then we'll be back again tomorrow at 12 p.m. UK time, where we'll get ready for the weekend, because it's the return of the championship this weekend. So we're going to have loads more players to enter for our team. So let's go and jump into It's Haber. You guys will see me in there for a little bit anyway. And thank you for the incredible support. I'll see